yesterday we started our unit about quadratics, right? And quadratic equations. What I wanted to review with all of you today, right now, is the 3 different forms of quadratic equations that we have, right? So, who can remember, just off the top of their head, one of the 3 forms that we talked about yesterday? Yes. There was the general form. And something I did not say yesterday that I'm going to say today is you will see people write general form as general form. Another way you'll see it being written is as the standard form. So standard and general form are just the same thing. It's just 2 different words for the same form, all right? And something that we didn't really focus on yesterday was what the overall equation for the general form was with all of the variables, all right? And so for the general form, that's just ax squared plus bx c, all right? So yesterday we looked at this, we kind of put in numbers for the a, the b, and the c, right? Of the a, b, and c, which of those was the one that gave us information about an important part about our parabolas? If you're not sure, turn and talk with your partner right now. Ask them A, B, or C. Is A, B, or C the important coefficient for us? All right. Who thinks A? Who thinks B? Who thinks C? All right. Yes, it is C. What does that C represent? Yes. This is the y-intercept, exactly. Right? All right, another form. Who can give us another one of the forms? Yes. The vertex form. All right? So, our second form is this vertex form here. And the vertex form looks like this. So it has an a and then it's x minus h squared plus k. Of these, which 2 variables did we typically change? Or did we typically find the numbers to? I'll give you a hint. If it's vertex form, it's h and k. And h and k tell us vertex, right? All right. Our final form. Who thinks they can remember the final one? Yes. The factored form. So, if we have this factored form here, our factored form tells us there's an x minus r1 and an x minus r2. I'll give you a hint. It's the r1 and the r2 that we usually replace. But what does the r1 and the r2 stand for? We are factored form. What does that r1 and r2 stand for? Do you think you know? R2 roots. Exactly. So here are r1 and an r2. These are our roots. Or another way to say roots is just our x-intercepts, right? All right. These are the 3 forms that we're going to be using for quadratic equations for this first part of the unit. For these 3, there is something that we haven't really talked about that you might have seen on your homework last night. And that was this part right here. This A coefficient. So if you looked at your homework key last night, you might have noticed, wait, there's like a 2 or a -5 or something in front. How did that get there? All right? The activity we are doing today will help you review these 3 forms, help you kind of get your hands more on manipulating depending on the y-intercept, the vertex, and the roots. But it'll also help you figure out what these A coefficients stand for. All right? So what I want everyone to do on their iPads right now is we are going to log onto a website, and that website is called student.desmos.com. I know you have the Desmos app, but you cannot access, on Desmos, there are activities, and those activities cannot be accessed on the app. It has to be accessed through the internet. So if you go to student.desmos.com, you will end up on a screen. You'll probably have to sign in. If you just press sign in with Google, it'll sign in with your school email, all right? And once you get there, you want to type in, oh, I should probably put this on the correct screen. You will want to type in this class code, including the space, all right? So I will pause while everyone gets a chance to get onto student.desmos.com and log in using this class code. All right. So now it looks like everybody is on. Once you are on, you will notice that we have an activity, and it's called Parabolas Introduction, right? Just go through this activity. You can go through this activity either by yourself or with one other person, as long as you are staying focused, all right? And you'll have about the next 15, 20 minutes to get this done. And once we have done that, we'll come back together and we'll explore a little bit more about what that A coefficient means. Does that sound good to everyone? Yep. All right. You have the next 15 or 20 minutes. All right. So for this first page here, if we want to find a dot and label it at the vertex, we want to go over and find what that dot is, or what that vertex dot will look like. It's a 2, -1. And over here, we'll want to insert 2, -1. And once we have that dot, you can go up here to settings. And over here, there'll be a dot. You can touch that dot, and it'll give you the option to change colors. Should probably help you. All right. So we have all done that Desmos activity now. Majority of people got through it. And what I wanted to look at was, we had that coefficient A. So if we look at the vertex form in particular, we had this A here. What did this A stand for? It's kind of hard. It's like, I don't know. What do you think? Stretching and shrinking. Exactly. And so this right here tells us whether we are stretching or shrinking our graphs. And I wanted to look at a specific example that we got from that Desmos activity. So if I go here and look at the Desmos activity that we did, which page was Vertex Form? This one right here. All right, so if we look at this one right here, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. We'll notice, what is the vertex of this? What is the vertex of this blue parabola here? 4, 3, right? So if this is at 4, 3 here, that's our vertex. We want to see if this is stretched or shrunk, right? And so to look at whether it's stretched or shrunk or anything, what we want to say is, okay, if I were to go over right 1, and then I go down to where my line then crosses this next grid line here. So I went over 1. How many do I have to go down? 2, right? This was slide 6. What did people get for their A coefficient? Did you get 2? But our parabola is facing downwards. So we got -2. So if you look back at your slide 6, you'll notice, oh, for this parabola, I got -2. Because -2 was the amount that you needed to go over 1 and then go down until you find where your parabola crosses that grid line. All right? if we wanted to do another experimental one using just this general form here, and I said, all right, I'm going to make this a positive parabola here, and I am going to just change this here. If I say, let's go here, all right? So this is our vertex here. We want to go right 1. Once we go right 1, do we go up or down? We go up. And then what's the difference that we have to go up? Or how many blocks up do we have to go? Just 1, right? So because we only have to go up 1, what's our A value? 1. So all that A value tells you is just stretching and shrinking, right? So stretching and shrinking, that's our A value. What we want to do next is kind of just a review of what we did yesterday a little bit. We did it like briefly yesterday, but kind of formalize what we're going to learn, all right? So what we're going to do is, if we have something in vertex form, for example, we have this function here, 2 times the quantity x, let's go x minus 3 squared minus 2. Do you remember yesterday how I said, okay, this is in vector form, and then once we're in vector form, we can just expand this out to get to general form? That's what our lesson is today. Yesterday, did you know how to expand this out? Yeah. What's the only difference between yesterday's and today's? It's just this 2 right here, right? So I'll give you about 30 seconds. Expand this function out, all right? Most people are finishing up. Let's go over this. What was the first step somebody took? Yes. All right, so we said over here, since this is x minus 3 cubed, we just said x minus 3 times x minus 3. All right, somebody else, what did you do next? Yes. All right, so we FOILed these out, or we just distributed them out, whichever way you did it. And what did you get? Started with x squared, then what? Minus 6x plus 9. All right. What is the step we have to do after this? Yes. Distribute this too. Make sure we're distributing it to each of these, right? What did you get then? All right. All right. What is the last step we have to do here? I'm hearing it, but I'm not seeing hands. Yes. All right. And then what is that?
2x squared minus 12x
plus 16. All right. So, is show of hands, I got this. All right. So, this is how we distribute out. This idea of distributing out is really important. So if you are not quite there yet, come in, get some help, okay? From this, what form did we end up with down here? This is our general form, right? And then, do you remember, this was vertex form. What is the last form called? Factored form. So, for this one, do you think we could factor this? If we were to factor this, what do you think would be the first step? Yes. Yes. So if we wanted to factor this, and we took out a 2 from each of these, what would we end up with on the inside of the parentheses?
X squared.
All right. If you have this in here, we want to factor these 2 out. All right? Take 10 seconds. Think about what the 2 factors could be. All right? Right. Who thinks they have a guess? Doesn't have to be right, just a guess. Yes. X minus 2 and x minus 4. All right. We have guessed. Let's check. All right. If we do x times x, that gives us our x squared. If we do our negative 2 times our negative 4, that gives us our positive 8. And then here we have a negative 2 times x. And here we have a negative 4 times an x. Does that give us negative 6? Yes? All right. And this is our factor here. All right. One more thing before we start homework. All right. I want to go all the way back up here to our vertex form. If I wanted to just going to move that down. If I wanted to make this graph, what information do I know from this vertex form? The vertex. What is the vertex here? 3, negative 2. So I'm going to say that's about here. 5, 3, negative 2. What direction is it going? Is our parabola curved upwards or downwards? Upwards. So I'm just going to estimate it a little bit. All right. If I wanted to find the axis of symmetry, what would my axis of symmetry be? This point here we said was 3, negative 2. X equals 3. All right? If you could open up your Schoology now. On Schoology, there is a Schoology quiz. We have, all right, so we have about 10 minutes. Let's do the first few together, and then you'll only have a few left to do on your own. All right? So, if we get onto Schoology, let's see. Make sure you are going under today's date. What is today's lesson called? Vertex to general form. All right. So, in case you don't know what that means, this is our vertex form. You expanded it out and you got to general form. And then we went from general form and we factored it. Just the part that goes from vertex to general form is your homework for tonight. All right? Just that expansion there. All right? So, if we look at the questions here, is this your first question?
Yeah.
Yes? All right. For this one, it says, what is the equation for the graph below in vertex form? What do we need to know if we're using a vertex form? The vertex. What is the vertex? Our vertex is 3, 4. So, what would our vertex form equation look like? Starts with y equals x minus 3 squared. And then plus 4. Is that one of your options? All right. Look, first one done. All right. This next one down here. We need to rewrite this equation in general form, and we need to identify the vertex. Which one do we want to do first? General form or vertex? The vertex? Do we know the vertex for this? Yes, but we only have this part here. There's no like plus anything. If we rewrite it, it is indeed a plus 0. So what is our vertex for this equation here? 4, 0? Okay. Sorry, I couldn't hear you guys. 4, 0. And then if we are doing x minus 4 squared, can we expand that? If we're expanding that, x minus 4 times x minus 4, if you FOIL that out, you'll get an x squared. What is the next term here you're going to get? Negative 8x. And then what is the last term? Plus 16. All right? Is this one of your choices too? All right. Awesome. All right. All right. Let's see. How many more can we do? All right. Ooh, let's do this one more. All right. So we want to rewrite this equation in the general form, and we want to identify the axis of symmetry. Which one would you like to do first? General form or axis of symmetry? Who says general form? Who says axis of symmetry? Okay, we're going to do the general form first. All right? Take 20 seconds. Try and expand this on your own. All right. After this step, what did somebody do? I'm looking for people who have not answered a question today. Specifically from this like middle row right here. Want to FOIL? All right. If you FOIL, what did you get for this middle part here?
X squared.
Okay. Okay. And plus 9. All right, and then there's a minus 5 over there. So if we simplify that a little bit, what can we simplify in the middle there? So we get a 6x in the middle there, minus 5. All right. What is the next step? Somebody from this row right here. Give it a chance. Yes. All right, you want to distribute the negative 2. Please remember that it is a negative 2. So we will get negative 2x was squared was the first one. What was the second part? Negative 12x, and then the last one? Negative 18, and then we have a minus 5. All right, last step. Yeah. All right, what did you get from here? Negative 18 minus 5. Negative 18 minus 5. Negative 23. So this right here will be negative 23. that what everyone got for that? Yes? All right, so that's our general form. How do we find the axis of symmetry again? What do we need first? The vertex. It all goes back to the vertex. What's the vertex of this equation here? -3, 5 is our vertex. All right, so then what is our axis of symmetry? I heard it. Someone said x equals -3. All right, that is the first 3 problems on your Schoology quiz. How many questions are there? 10. Well, you've got the first third-ish done. All right. You have about 3-4 minutes left. You can continue with this. And that is all we are going to do today.